Hello everyone, welcome back to another Quantower video. In today's video, what we're going to discuss is something about max delta and min delta. So we'll go into the basics first and then get ahead with how we can use it in our daily day-to-day trading, intraday trading, even for a longer time frame, and then finally how we can use it in scalping. So the first thing we'll go into is what is max delta and min delta. So if you look at the charts that I've plotted here, these are footprint charts. That is the imbalance version. I'll just show you. So you can go here and select this from the left hand corner on the bottom side, and I have selected imbalance. So you can go into the settings over here. So a lot of you guys were asking me how I've set up these charts, so you can just go on and have a look at how I've done it. So the volume color, you can choose whatever you want, and these are the settings. You can pause them and see them, and this is how I have set them. So the only things I have as of now that are on are the cluster delta and the delta change. Okay, so they are showing on top of the bar. They're nothing but the delta within a bar and the change in delta with respect to the previous bar. So this is a 15-minute candle. So when I'm choosing a 15-minute candle on a footprint chart, what I'm going to see is a good zones that I'm going to get that will offer me good risk to reward ratios as far as the intraday is concerned. So obviously I'm not going to use this in a scalping time frame. It will be on my panel, but with a longer term view for an intraday trade. For example, if I'm expecting the market to go here, if it would have continued, I would not plan to take a scalp over here. It would be in my mind, if I'm already in a short, I would like to cover over here or something like this. So at the end of the day, it depends on you how many points you're looking for. For example, I'm seeing two zones over here where the market is balancing. That is the zone over here from 605 to about 500. This is a 100-point zone, and there's a selling imbalance on top and a buying imbalance on top, which we'll just discuss in some time. So now let's move on to what is max delta and min delta. So whatever time frame you choose, for example, this is a 15-minute bar. So within this bar, wherever I have in this bar, the maximum delta that I had reached in this bar will be shown over here. Now I have selected this. This is in auto. So wherever I am seeing a max delta which is more than that has been going on, or it is more than the average, you can see it is covered in or shaded in a lighter shade or a darker shade, whatever you see. So I can straight away see these are the three bars where I'm seeing these cyan colors pop out really brightly. So I know that these three bars are having max deltas that are above average for this day. So in the last four bars, I can see the max delta is again above average. And what other thing I can see is that in these bars, the delta that closed when the bar closed is quite close to the max delta. So I just explain with a figure if it helps you guys. So for example, if you have a candlestick chart and you're drawing a line chart and you see that this is a 5-minute time frame, 5-minute candlestick chart. So at one point, let's see the delta was going up. It came here and it is going up, and at one point the delta touched this high in a 5-minute time frame, and by the time the bar closed, the delta was somewhere here. So this is the delta that will show up here on your panel over here. That is delta over here, and the max delta will be the value that was here. That is the high of the bar. So if you consider OHLC on a delta bar chart below, what you will see is a candlestick like this. So the high of the bar is max delta, the low of the bar is min delta, and the close that is here is delta. Now the open is not shown anywhere, but this is how you can see it in the form of statistics over here. So this is what is actually max delta, min delta, and delta. Now how does this data become important to us? Now it's exactly like the candlestick bar. Whenever I am having a bar where I have seen that the delta has closed right at the top or the high of the bar. So for example, delta is equal to high of the bar. So this means that this is actually delta is equal to max delta. So this is, I am talking about the delta bar. So whenever delta is equal to max delta, it means there is huge amount of buying that has taken place. The aggression is from the buyers, and hopefully it is going to continue unless I see absorption. Now we'll talk about this concept in just a few moments from now. So if I keep seeing, and the bar that I'm seeing, the price bar, that is the normal candlestick bar, which is in terms of price, that is this that is being displayed here, is exactly similar to this. So I am in what I can notice is that the price is moving in correlation with the delta. So the price and delta are correlated. The aggression that is taking place by the buyers is being seen in the price as well. So the delta correlation with price is positive, and I can expect, or this might be a trend day or a trend for some time that can continue. Now this is very common on a trend day, even on extreme days. By extreme day I mean is that the market starts from one point, goes to one end, and then turns around from there, comes to the other end, which is quite common on expiry days or one day before expiry. So for example, something like this, what we've seen here. Now the important part that we're looking when we're looking at these bars is that obviously they're being shaded accordingly, but what I want to see is the volumes also pick up and become higher. Again, the volumes over here are colored in accordance with the volume, or the above average bar volumes will be colored in magenta, and then cyan, and then green. So again, you had doubts how I set this up. You can go to time histogram over here. The volume is enabled. Go to the settings and set the this volume by percentage over here. So you can go to level volume type and select percentage, and then you can have them selected like this. So I've set 15, 30, 50 and 70. You can choose what you want. So this is the way the volumes will be plotted, so I don't have to keep checking the statistics or anything else. As soon as I see the color, I see that the volumes at a particular price are above average, and this is where I need to put my attention. Now comes the last part. So how do I decide that the max delta, whenever it is equal to delta, how do I interpret it? Whenever I see the aggression continue, that is the correlation of delta with the price is positive, as I just discussed, it means that the aggression is there, and I do not want to short that market. On the other hand, something like this, when I see something like this, you see the delta value is high, and when I see something like this on the top, okay, like this, this is a delta buy imbalance on the top, and the bar has closed below. Look at the way the bar closes below, okay. And finally, with this volume, the delta is equal, very close to max, not close to, but the max delta, min delta is much higher than the the min delta is quite close to the delta. So suddenly when the price moved up, okay, so this is the second 9:15, the second 15-minute bar of the day, this has happened. Now I know this is a zone where absorption has taken place, and there was a good amount of buyers that were trying to step in but could not take the market up. Now comes the second part of it. Did you see a good amount of volumes getting clustered here? No. Now this is where the point comes, wherein this level will be of good significance, or will be of strength, or are the buyers that have absorbed, or are the sellers that have absorbed these buyers strong enough to hold it whenever the market comes in next time. Now if you look at this chart, the configuration over here in this imbalance chart is, wherever I see brighter shades, that means the volume over there is much higher, okay. So these areas are not of that good amount of significance, but these areas where I see the cluster is on the downside, or on the lower side of the bar, okay. There's only one place over here where there's a volume cluster. On the other side, the volume cluster is over here. So again, the sellers did absorb this place, but I am not so sure that they'll be able to hold this place whenever the price approaches this point that well. So I do mark these places, but I would mark them with different colors, wherein I can expect a scalp maybe, but not a good resistance that is going to be offered because of lack of volume or lack of interaction between the buyers and sellers at this point. On the contrary, we can see something on the opposite side if you can find a trade or a place, for example this place, okay. Now over here again, the buyers have absorbed this place, but this will act as a good support whenever the market reaches this point. Why? Because you see the delta being very close to min delta, the volume cluster over here is low, and this amount of volume, or the sellers are being absorbed. That means that these guys that have taken the market here after absorbing the sellers are of good strength, and you can see what happens thereafter. But this is not for this move. This is the area that we mark and carry forward for our future. So what we do over here is we just go here and mark this area, this zone, like this, okay. You go to the settings over here, click right ray, and you can carry this forward. Okay, you can change the color in accordance with the strength you feel, like we just discussed, whether it will hold in future. So this is a 340 350 level which we think is going to hold. Now comes this next part. This is the absorption part that we discussed. Now comes the next part. Whenever I want to see aggression on one side, for example, we're seeing aggression on this side, of course, the first thing that we see is imbalance. The next thing we want to see is less of interactions. Okay, so whenever I'm seeing more of these interactions with volume clusters forming, I know this is a move that can stall. But when I see something like this, that means the levels before this have already, the buyers have all, the sellers have already been absorbed at this level, and the market is moving with great strength. And whenever the first cluster is forming, the market even doesn't attempt to come, or attempts but doesn't come below that. So this is the cluster, and the market doesn't even come below this. So this is something that I know straight away that this is aggression, and it would be sheer foolishness to stock short this, because there is an interaction between the buyers and the sellers. The volume is high and the volume cluster is here, and it has not been breached even once. So this is going to continue. So if you're expecting, for example, that at this point the buy imbalance that we just spoke about is going to hold this price, it is not going to hold. In fact, it does try, and look what happens. You see the pickup in volume cluster over here, right over here. It is again that these sellers that were not that high in strength did try to absorb it again and get the market down, but it didn't. Look at the volume pickup, look at the max delta and min delta, and look at the market go up. Now this again happens for the second time. Okay, so this is one cluster, this is one cluster where the market tries to hold, and there is an imbalance that finally forms for the buyers, and the market continues top, going ahead. Now this is again another zone that I will carry forward. So I look for a scalp or an intraday trade whenever the market approaches this zone for a long from this zone. Again, I'll mark this zone. Okay, and we will go ahead and right trade. And why am I considering these bars? Look at what is happening below. The max delta is very close to delta, and it is all close to these delta clusters. Okay, so you can again mark these zones as well for a good finding, a good scalp or a long trade whenever the market approaches this area. Now, when do I see the market slowing down? When I see these overlapping areas. So this is the first time I see some sign of exhaustion, not complete exhaustion, but I would now not want to go long here, because again I see an interaction over here. The max delta is quite close to the delta, but the next bar is quite close. So I see continuous bar POCs over here, if you see. So this is another area carry forward. Of course you get scalps here, but now I don't want to go long unless this area holds, which it does, and it goes up. So the first time, now I'll go ahead. Now these are all places that you can mark for aggression, and whenever the market approaches in a 5-minute time frame or a 1-minute time frame, these are very, very good places to scalp. Okay, all these max delta areas. So there are two types of max and min deltas scenarios that we've discussed. First is when the max delta or the min delta is equal to delta and the price has moved away from the zone. So the price has moved away from the zone. Okay, so you can mark this. And the next area is, so this is called aggression or initiation. So a lot of times you would have seen people calling it initiative buying or initiative selling. This is the zone, you can mark this. So this is what initiative buying, and the zone below that was again initiative buying. And similarly, when you see something like that from the other end, you can call it initiative selling. So this is how you can use max delta and min delta, find these areas. Now the next type of buying or selling that we generally hear of is called responsive buying or responsive selling. So what is that? That is that it approaches an area which is already of significance, and the buyers or the sellers step in that area and take the market down. So when will this generally happen? When there is a sort of absorption taking place in the market. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and let's see if we can find another example. So let's see what happens thereafter. Okay, this is another bar where a lot of max delta and min delta has taken place. Now remember a few minutes ago, about 5 to 10 minutes ago, the first scenario that we discussed. Now look at where the volume cluster is taking place here, and look at where the buying is. Straight away I see a lot of buying that has taken place. In fact, the maximum amount of buying that has taken place here, and the bar has tried to go on top but has closed below it, and the next bar has come to this zone, tested this zone again. This is a scalp area and gone on top. Okay, so now this is for the first time I'm seeing that the cluster is here. The market did attempt to go on top, and I am now seeing a rotational play that is taking place. Okay, so this is a zone which I am not so sure will hold. Okay, so contrary to the zones that we just plotted below, this one over here, that is 450 460 zones, this zone is not a zone that I'm expecting to hold. Of course, if you're looking for scalps, this is a good place to scalp for at least the top of the bar. So for example, if you're wanting to scalp here, you can shift to the lower time frame. This is 560. So if you're looking to this zone, at least where the selling, you see a good seller step in here, that is 600. So 30 points, and you can have the stop loss just below this, about again 30 points. So 1:1 risk reward. But this is the idea, is that now I know that this is a zone which might not hold because the cluster is way below the top of the bar, and I have seen responsive selling that has come in from here. How do I know that? Look at this area, look at this cluster, and look at this seller that has stepped in. Now this is too early to take a sell trade. What I see thereafter is a few minutes later, again now I have started seeing the min delta being close to delta bars with the volume pickup. So the volumes are still very high, but now I am seeing sellers step in at this area. So straight away, this is the zone where I see sellers step in, and again this sell imbalance may not be that strong, because again the bar cluster is below, the sellers have stepped in here, but this is a zone that I can carry forward. Why? Because I know that the buyers are getting exhausted, not that the aggression from the sellers is that good, but the buyers are getting exhausted. So what I can see here is responsive selling coming in thereafter. Now whenever I see something like this, I do not want to short this market at this point, but when I see something like this, I am ready to take the counter position. Why? Because I've seen a buy imbalance. Almost the imbalance is not being plotted here, but look at the blue areas that are coming in here, and they are at a place where the buyers wanted to step in. Again the cluster is right below this sell imbalance zone, and these buyers were unsuccessful. So what I'm hoping for at this point is, or rather I am predicting, is that these buyers, since they're absorbed, this area is going to hold, and I am going to get a rotational play back to which point, at least till this area where the market has taken a recent pullback, or till this area. So the market closes here, but what I can expect is, unless until we get a gap up and again the aggression is there, if we open somewhere here, I can really expect a test of this point, that is 495 to 500, and if we go below this, the test of the zone that we marked below. So this is a rotational play that I can now expect from this here place. Why? Because now I am seeing max deltas and min deltas in equal numbers with high volume bars. Okay, so the most important part is the high volume bars. So all these magenta volume bars where the volume is higher than above average, or above average, I am now starting to see min deltas also popping up. Okay, now this time again there's a pickup in volume, it goes up, and I see a buy imbalance on top, and the market fails whenever it tries. Now look at this drop in volume, the entire volume cluster is here, the bar again closes below this. So this is an area which I carry forward. Again, you can color it with a different color, because this is a good absorption area, but the absorption is not that strong because the clusters are forming below, like we just discussed. But of course I can look for a mean reversion trade, because the market, I expect the market to be in a rotational play in this area for some time, maybe a day or two, is what I am thinking of. Okay, so you can go here and sorry for that, I'll just select this and select right ray and color whatever you want. So let's say we want to color it red. Okay, okay, the chart has the display is there, but it's getting connected, so the chart has come back. So what we have done is we marked it as red. You can color it in a different color. Let's say if you've kept red for extremely good absorption, you can color it maybe orange, or maybe something of that sort, like this. Okay, so whenever the market approaches this area, this is an orange shade, I know that yes, this is a good level, but I can't market to expect, and I mean I will expect responsive sellers. But if the market is showing aggression, something like this, if it is a rotational play like this, of course I'm going to see a market let's say on Monday go in between these two areas, so I can position myself accordingly. But if I see something like this happening, okay, something like this, an aggression, I can certainly expect that the market will not hold, and it will generally give you a chance. If you go to a lower time frame, you see an interaction like this happening and the volume cluster pickup, it'll give you a chance to exit if you're seeing the buying side pick up more strength. So I hope you guys could, I mean, it was some help to you guys. So this is what you can do and plot max delta and min delta values to find out initiative buying and selling and responsive buying and selling. And you can even go down to time frames, of course. If you go down on a 5-minute chart, it is helpful, but if you go down on a 1-minute chart, these zones, as I just said, the orange zones that we marked here might not be of that good strength or power, but the red zones that we marked, or the green deep blue zones that we marked where we see aggressive selling, will be of real good significance. In fact, you can go ahead and plot these zones even in an options chart, and you'll see them working and doing you great wonders. So hopefully you got to learn something new. Until next time, thank you. Bye bye.